You ready, Dad?
I'm ready.
All right, so this is Growing Up Chestnut. I'm Mike. This is my sister,
Becky.
And this is the root cause of all our problems in life.
Cause of growing up chestnut.
Growing Up Chestnut, we were raised by this man, Roy Lee Chestnut. Dad, how are you doing?
Since you've been calling me Root Hog, I don't know. But anyway, I want me to tell you about myself.
Yeah,
Well, I was born in Virginia, Bonnie Blue, Virginia, coal mining town. I had 4 brothers and 2 sisters. And in Virginia, they have everything big. I mean, at least in the mountains where I was at, they did. Especially when it came to varmints. And we had rats. Now, when I'm talking about rats, I'm talking about rats. I'm not talking about mice. In fact, our rats were so big, when they would come out of a night, the cats would go hide. So we had chickens, and we fished in chicken a lot. And Dad bought me a BB gun to shoot and kill them with, but that didn't work. BB gun that had the hammer on it broke and didn't work right. So anyway, I started digging them out. And I'd dig them out, and there's a bunch of little ones. And I'd take the little ones and feed them to the chickens. Well, while I'm doing this, I reached around to pick something up, one of those big rats, gopher rats, ran up my overhauled breeches leg. And I come in squalling, you thought I was Jerry Clower, the way I was carrying on. I came out from that floor. My daddy's sure that something had me. He jumped out the window, and he said, well, turn it loose. I had a hold of it right around his neck, and it's inside my pants. I said, ain't no way in God's green earth that I'm going to turn this rat loose. And I didn't. He had to cut my britches leg off in order for me to get rid of that rat. And so that was my last time I had the rat digging times. But there's some other times we was around there. I had a brother, Earl. Now, Earl's a preacher, and he's a good fellow now. But when I was a kid growing up, Earl expected me to do all the work, and he wasn't going to do none of it. So one day, our dad was a very strict disciplinarian, and he whipped us with a razor strap. Ooh. We didn't know what he told us to do. And so he told me that morning, got up, and I had gotten up and built a fire in the cook stove, 4:30 in the morning, and I had milked a cow that morning. But he told me, as he left for work, he said, listen, he said, that corn beside the house there needs to be hoed. He said, I want you and Earl to hoe that corn today, and if it's not hoed when I get home, I'm going to whip both of you. So I was out there hoeing corn about 10 o'clock in the day. It was hot, sunshiny day. I looked over, and here sat Earl under the eaves of the house. And I said, Earl, Dad told me that if we didn't have this corn hoed by the time he got home from work, he's going to whip us. Earl said, shucks, I don't care. He said, whipping only lasts 5 minutes. 5 minutes said hoeing corn's an all-day job.
So what happened? Did you guys get whooped?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. Because I know Earl didn't help me hoe the corn, and I couldn't hoe it by myself.
So what are some of your favorite memories growing up?
Well, I remember one time I got in a beehive.
That's your favorite?
That wasn't fun. I remember one time I was picking blackberries. I came for this I'd gone out to pick blackberries in the bush. I found this bush of blackberries. And I mean to tell you, they had some of the biggest berries I've ever seen. And I thought to myself, why in the world anybody got those blackberries? So I went down that bucket. I'm putting it in my bucket. I went down by the briar patch, and I began to put those berries in my bucket. And all at once I kind of felt something kind of pricking my leg. And I looked down, and my leg was yellow with yellow jackets.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
Now, here's a fact. It's hard to believe. But I backed out of there slow and easy with those bees hanging on to me. I got about 20 feet away and turned and run as hard as I could run. And I never got not one sting out of it, not one. And of course, I was grateful.
Do you know one of my favorite stories about growing up with you? Do you remember talking about bees? Do you remember when we went to Aunt Cindy's? And part of our vacation, I think, was she paid us to paint her house
And mow her lawn.
and mow her lawn. And Dad got up. You got up on the roof and found out there was a bunch of wasps up there. Remember that?
Yeah?
And I remember Dad said, so Dad gave me one job to do. Dad said,
Hold the ladder.
hold the ladder. He said, but you were very specific with it. You told me, you said, son, no matter what happens, don't let go of that ladder. Remember that?
I remember that.
And so Dad gets on the roof, and all of a sudden, these hornets and wasps and stuff start coming out. Well, I didn't let go of the ladder. I took off running through the yard with that ladder, and Dad's up there getting stung.
And you ran off with the ladder.
I did because you told me I not to. Whatever I did,
I remember that.
Don't let go of that ladder, so I didn't.
I sat down on the roof, and I did not get one sting.
Mom had to
But they
grab
covered me up.
You know how they got the ladder? Greg tackled me and got the ladder from me. I was gone. I wasn't gonna get stung by no wasp or nothing. But I was sure gonna obey my dad too, and I wasn't gonna let go of any of them.
It's the only time you ever obeyed Dad.
I had a lot of experience in Virginia when I was a kid growing up. Till I was 15 years old, I grew up in Virginia. We didn't have a telephone, didn't have a television. We did have an old battery-operated radio. And Dad, he was a Christian, so he didn't want us to listen to, he called them jigs, which was songs that Hank Williams and, they weren't bad songs, and all my kids listened to them after I was grown and had children of my own. But he wouldn't let me listen to them and everything, so we didn't have that. But he would not let me go to St. Charles by myself. St. Charles was the town closest to us. He had to have somebody go with me. But he'd send me off duck hunting or goose hunting or rabbit hunting or whatever with a double-barrel shotgun. Never thought nothing about danger. That always mystified me. But I had a lot of fun. I killed a lot of snakes. I remember one time I was coming over a log, laying across the road. As I came over that log, I saw a snake, and it was a copperhead. As I came over, but a pretty good-sized copperhead. Earl was right behind me, and Earl was barefooted. And I knew that if Earl came with that log, that snake would bite him. So when we came over that log, I had old broke-iron shoes on. I just turned my heel inward, and when I came down that copperhead's head. It curled up around my leg, but I killed him.
You saved Uncle Earl's life.
I saved Earl's life more than once.
More than once?
Uncle Earl, you owe him.
You owe him. You owe him. So, Dad always told us a story about Uncle Earl, and I want you to tell it about Earl and the X-Lax.
Earl and what?
The candy bar.
That
I
Grandpa
don't
said.
remember that one.
The candy bar that was in the medicine cabinet, and Grandpa asked who did it.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Back in those days when you get, you get a stomach, I could give you X-Lax. And X-Lax looked like a Hershey candy bar. It was about 2 inches long, but it still looked like a Hershey candy bar. So Earl was about 3 years old, I guess he was, and Dad had his X-Lax put up. Earl found them. Earl ate them. And my mother went to get one, and for some reason or other, and she turned around and says, Lee, these X-Lax are gone. They're all gone. They're not here. Well, he said, I put a new pack up there yesterday. She said, well, they're not here. And he said, well, In a few minutes, we're going to know who got them. And when Earl got it and found out that Dad set him out in the yard, he's only 3 years old, took his diaper off and washed him down with a water hose.
Oh, well, so since we've been doing it, there's been a lot. We got a lot of stories we told about Lyman Taylor when they were at our house. We always had the Noble families were there. Dad, you were the pastor for how many years did you pastor at Valley Baptist?
32.
32 years. That's
a lifetime.
It is a lifetime.
I remember when we were building the church. This old woman, we had the trusses up on the building. This old woman come out. She didn't like me. She was going to pray to the Lord. She got down the driveway and prayed that the Lord would send a windstorm and blow the church down, the building down. Well, I'm sitting up on top of that thing, right in the middle of it. You know how high it is.
Yeah.
And I was putting a screw through it to hold it down. And I wanted to throw the hammer at her, but I couldn't get in position to throw the hammer at her. And I probably would have thrown the hammer had I been able to, but I wasn't able to. And if I wiggled around too much, I would fall off of it and hurt myself. Because the floor to which would be the roof of the basement was open, and so I would have fell at least 2 stories.
Mm-hmm.
And with the way the arch is made, I would have fell 3 stories. But it had some blessings too. One day, getting towards the end of getting the first building up, we ran out of material and didn't have enough money to finish the building. And we wanted to get in by Sunday. We'd already painted and everything else, but it just wasn't feasible to get into the building. So I said, let's figure out how much we'll have to finish this building. And the guys figured up $500.
Wow.
And so we got back in the corner of the church, and about $500 back in 1970 was a lot of money, like $5,000 today. And we got back in the corner of the church and prayed that the Lord would give us $500, and we would need it now. We don't need tomorrow or the next day. We need it now. And so anyway, I had to go for some reason or other, and I went out in the foyer area, and a green Cadillac pulled up. And this bald-headed fella, I'll never forget, he's a little short fella, bald-headed, got out of the car, came walking up to me. He said, "Are you the pastor of this church?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He said, "Well, here, the Lord told me to give you this." And he got back in his car and drove off. I opened the envelope up, and you can imagine what was in the envelope. $500. There's 5 $100 bills in it. I didn't know who the guy was. I came back and told the guys, "Here's the money. The Lord gave it to me." "Who gave it to me?" I said, "I don't know who he was." "You didn't get his name?" "No, I didn't get his name. I didn't have time." I mean, I was so shocked and stunned that I could not, ask him for his name. But a year later, I was at the Copley Hospital, and I went walking down the hallway, and I saw this guy coming towards me. And it was the guy that had given me the $500. And as he walked by me, I never said anything to him. I said, "Good morning," I think, maybe. But as he walked by me, I read on it, he had a tag on it, says, "Dr. Saxton." And here's the thing amazing about that. Dr. Saxton was a Jew.
Wow.
He was not I don't know if he was Christian or not. I don't know if he got saved or not. But his heritage was Jewish. He was Jewish. But God sent a Jew to give me $500 to fill the building, finish the building.
Wow. Wow. Well, one of the things that you did really well at church was the mission conference.
Yeah.
The mission
Well,
conference.
you want to tell about your mother, right?
Well, you can tell that one if you want.
Yep. Talk about Mama.
Because Mama made the best peach cobbler and
Well,
everybody.
Rella, they don't tell them what Rella would do. Rella, she was a feisty little thing. If somebody say something and give one, especially if they got after one of her kids, she'd whip them.
Yes, she would.
And that's no lie. Well, she made a good peach cobbler pie. I mean, really good.
Yep.
And we had a banquet on Friday nights, the mission conference. And so anyway, she made her famous cobbler pie, and
It smelled so good all through
Oh, it looked good.
they were really good.
church. The aroma.
Well, Roger Mullins, he was the first one there. Roger got him a piece of pie.
And he's so soft-spoken anyways.
And he tasted of it, and he just laid his fork down. He didn't say anything. But Dr. Mel Rudder was there, and Dr. Mel came over, and he said, "Ooh, that looks good." And he reached down and got his fork, took him a big bite. He stood up and says, "Whatever you do, don't eat the cobbler." Really had.
She made it at the church.
She had made it to church, and somebody had taken the sugar canister down and filled it with salt. And she had made the cobbler pie out of salt. I can rest tell you sure there was enough pot cobbler pie to go around.
Plenty of leftovers.
Yeah.
Well,
And
You
they
know-
were mad. Some of them were mad because it smelled good.
Well,
all day
Jeannie and
church.
Harold Noble can better tell you stories. I didn't have much time during the mission conference, but Jeannie and Harold were there for 17 of our
that,
17 of our mission conferences.
yeah.
It is, yeah.
And anyway, they had a boy named Bradley.
Brian.
Brian
Bradley.
was the older one.
Bradley. Bradley's
They
a
had
pastor
Bradley.
now.
Yeah.
Bradley, on Wednesday, we always started on Wednesday night, went through Sunday. And Bradley was sitting out on a walk there, hammering, doing something that a 12-year-old kid would do. And this missionary pulled up who we had scheduled, and they'd never been there before. And the lady said to Bradley, says, "Is this a good place to mission conference?" And Bradley said, "Yes." Said, "I've been coming here for 17 years." And the lady said, "You have?" Bradley said, "Yeah." So me and my whole family have been coming for 17 years. She said, "Well, young man, how old are you?" Bradley said, 12.
Yeah. I don't mean to pick favorites, but I think I think it's safe to say, we had a lot of great evangelists that came through. The Noble family felt like family to us.
They were. They still are.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And they know a lot of stories about us.
That's why they're family.
Yeah.
That's why they're family.
They're telling us, we telling them.
That's because Jeannie is nosy.
Oh, is that it? Well, I'm glad we got it on recording you saying it. So, well, so Valley Baptist Church, you were there for 33 years. And then,
I
how
was a missionary for 12 years to Romania after that.
mm-hmm.
And that's towards the end of my ministry to Romania, your mother came down with Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And I didn't recognize it.
None of us do.
It took me a while to recognize. So I made a couple of 3 trips with her under that condition. And she did some shenanigans, let me tell you. She would go up to, you thought she first, we were in Romania, and you would think she spoke perfect Romanian. Because she would talk to those people, and I began to think maybe that she was Romanian. Because she began talking to them, and just like she knew, they knew what she was saying, they just sit there and look at her, nod their head, and I finally figured out there's something wrong with this woman. And so then when I came back home, I told one of your kids, I don't know which one, maybe it was Greg, we got to get your mother to the doctor. I think she's got Alzheimer's. And we did take her to the doctor. Remember the time we had the doctor and he told her she couldn't drive anymore and she threw her keys at him?
Their keys at me and her license, driver's
Well,
license at me.
yeah,
But
told-
she told
She
you-
might have had Alzheimer's, but she was still a reader.
But she got out in
Yeah,
the parking
she
lot.
She was determined she was going to drive that car no matter
But she got
what.
out in the parking lot, and I jumped in the car because I had to go to work, and I could see her in the parking lot. And Greg tells me, she said, "You're a liar, Gregory Chestnut. You're a liar, Roy Chestnut."
One day I'm
I'm
sitting,
like, "Woo!" I got out that one.
one day I'm sitting over there in the chair, and she looked across at me and she says, "Who's that lives next door?" I said, "It's your son Greg." Says, "Is he married?" I said, "Mom, he's been married for 20 years. He's got 2 kids." She says, it has. Said, well, she said, when did they get married? I said, 20 years? I think it was 22 years at that time. I said, 22 years ago. She said, was I there when they got married? And then I could tell those. Then one night she looked over at me, and I'm sitting there, and she says, who are you? I said, I'm Roy. Oh. Who are you now? I said, I'm your husband. She said, well, Roy's going to be home in a few minutes, and he ain't going to like you being here.
One of my
That was your chance to get out then.
Yeah, tomorrow will be 18 years 3 years that she's been gone on the 18th.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow's 3
Yeah.
years. She'll be going 3 years tomorrow.
But my favorite
we're
thing was
we're
when she
filming
told
this on Sunday,
Yeah.
Easter.
Easter Sunday.
It's Easter today that we're filming this with Dad, and we just thought it'd be really good to get Dad on here, since we talk. He don't know all the stories we told about him yet.
No.
But what were you going to say, Becky?
Oh, I was just going to say, one of my favorite ones was Jamie and I were in here, and she came out and she said, where's Roy? And Jamie said, he's right there. And she looked and she scoops her face and looks at us, she goes, that's Roy? And I said, yes, Mom, he's gotten old on you.
Yeah,
She
she was remembering me
young.
when I was younger.
Oh, yeah.
And at that time, we'd been married 60 years, and she just didn't recognize me with her, but she was.
Well, you and Mom were good for each other. You complimented each other. And,
Well, I got up one night during that time, and I woke up in the night and she wasn't in bed. So I had to be very careful, because I'd already had to take all the knobs off the cabinets and all the knobs off the stove, because I was afraid she was going to turn the stove on and hurt herself or something. And I was afraid I was going to have to change the water faucets. But anyway, I woke up and she wasn't there. So I came into the kitchen, and she had a skillet full of water. And of course, she couldn't turn the stove on, but it was cold water. And she was stirring it. And I said, Rella, what are you doing? She says, I'm making you breakfast. I said, am I going to like it? She says, well, you haven't complained yet.
So, one of the best things so Mom, you said it earlier, Dad, Mom was a Spitfire. You could do a lot of things, but the line was our family. And if you did something to our family, God help you, because the wrath of Rella came out. So do you remember when the song leader that blew his own trumpet, and we were
Don't say his name.
don't say the name, but
No, it was the name, yeah.
we were I remember that Sunday morning they put on a production and all this stuff.
He sang How Great Thou Art.
Yes. And so Sunday night comes, and Mom, they show up, and it was just right now, at that point, Mr. Lynn was the only one there. He's sitting in the back.
Well, Ron and Bonnie were there.
Oh, Ron and Bonnie were there too?
Yes, Ron laughed, yes.
And so I remember that's when Dad's office was upstairs. Mm-hmm. And so me and Greg were sitting with our legs almost on top of Dad's desk, just with our legs crossed though, And Mom was on this far side. Well, when that song leading them came in, his wife going, wasn't he so wonderful this morning? As they were going and making a scene, trying to take a jab at,
Telling everybody.
and all this stuff. Mom jumps over top of me and Greg's legs and runs out the door, throws open up the door and goes, and said, yeah, I thought Pat Boone did a wonderful job today, but he should have sang How Great I Am would have been more appropriate. And I'll never forget that. Dad looked at me and Greg and goes, boys, go get your mom. And me and Greg both went, no.
He said, if you want to get her, you'll get her yourself.
Yeah. When Mom got in that mood, you did not go after
Brother
her.
Lynn says to Rella, God bless you, Mrs. Chestnut.
What else are you going to say?
When he didn't want her turning on him.
And if you tried to calm her down, it just got worse.
Yeah.
You just let her go. You had to let her go.
Yes.
It would get worse.
Oh, no, we couldn't stop her. You might as well just let her forget it.
Well, we talked about this on our last episode, and I want to just finish with this story maybe. But what I loved with Mom was, so the Noble family, it was the first time the Noble family had come to our church. And we loved that up in the dining room at the parsonage was a big table. We had a big table where and the Noble family's a large family, and we could fit the Noble family and our family all around that table, and we would eat dinner at night before church. But a lot of times it was, my favorite time was the dessert afterwards, that we would go over to the house and sit there and we could kind of unwind. And we didn't really know Mom could tell good stories, but Mom got to tell. They were the first ones I ever saw that Mom told them a story, and it was when we were here in Pensacola, and that guy was breaking into our car. Yeah. And Mom told that story. Mom jumps up and she's just illustrating that to the Noble families, and we had never seen our mom
stand up and act it out.
Acted out before. Mom was so herself.
Yes.
And it was gone after that. I mean, our relationship with them, Mom, man, they loved when Mom would tell a story, because Mom would get into it.
You know what? The Noble family had a sister named, has a sister named Kristen.
Christy, yeah.
Christy. And Christy couldn't wait till they get to her house, and she'd jump off the bus before Don would even stop. And she'd come run to the house and tell me the stories.
Oh, yeah.
And so Don, it was funny, because Don come running after her. And he said, "Don't be over here telling Roy Chestnut all the stories about our family." And she just laughed.
Yes.
And she told some good stories too, didn't she?
Oh, she told some good ones.
She told some,
especially on Harold and Jeannie.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And when Donnie was riding with them.
Talking about him.
Well, Donnie was bad as she was.
Oh, they were a fun family. I always loved when they were at the church. They, they were one of my favorite because we were really close with them. So, but.
They were close to Mom.
But I think everybody's going to be happy that you were on here today with us telling stories.
Everybody's asking how you're doing. How are you doing?
He's got a beard. You see this? He's grown a beard and everything. Show him that beard. Yep.
I can't stand up straight. My back hurts.
He's got a back issue, and it makes him walk like the letter L, upside down letter L.
Yeah.
And in case you're wondering, I'm 85 years old.
85 years old. Man, you were old when I was young, but man.
And I'm still just as mean as I ever was.
Yes, he is.
Yes. 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 Yep.
That's all you can say is yes.
That's all we can say. I think we need to just close with that.
Yes.
So, Dad, you always told us 3 things not to ever do. Do you remember what those were?
Yeah.
Don't take any.
Don't jump any.
Don't take any wooden nickels, jump in dry creeks, or kill any dead snakes.
Well, guys, you all heard that, so we're just going to end with that. You have a great day. God bless you all. Bye. Say bye, Dad.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.